This car review matters to so many car customers worldwide because the VW T-Roc is the VW bestseller, and here it is in a new generation, a fresh breeze with the sea in the background and in celestial blue. And we're going to find out how good is this all-new generation, what's new, what's in exterior, interior and the driving experience with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the T-Roc R-Line. You can see here the biggest difference is that you have high gloss black here and this different front structure. In the other non-R-Line models, this would be a plain black and not in high gloss. And you have here the R-Line logo. Then you can see here the light strip connects the two headlamps in the middle part. And there's also the illuminated VW logo. Also a pretty cool thing when you see it at night especially. Optional, which we also have here, the IQ light. This is the Matrix LED. The length is at 4 meters 37 or 172 inches. That's about 12 centimeters or 5 inches longer than before. Slightly increase in the wheelbase, which also should translate to more legroom in the rear. We are going to find out about that. Still, even in the R-Line, you have no high gloss black wheel arches. Here, these are just like a black plain plastic. They say it's like easier to maintain, so to speak. Wheels from 16 to 20 inch. These here are the biggest ones, 20 inch. 18 it would be standard for the R-Line already. Yeah, and it will be very exciting if, although these are the biggest wheels, we still have comfort from this optional DCC, dynamic chassis control. That's the adaptive suspension, one valve. The Tiguan would have the two valve system, but this one is already good. Really looking forward to drive this one here. With the black pack, by the way, we also have black mirror caps. The lower part is also then in black, and you can also get a contrasting roof. But if you prefer like a vehicle color roof, that would also be available with the T-Roc. Then towards the rear, new styling here, of course, for the tail lamps, and the light strip goes all the way through with an illuminated red VW logo then here in the rear. That looks pretty spectacular. It's still a front wheel based platform, also related to the Golf, but later on there will also be all-wheel drive models available. And the engine facts are very exciting today because, well, this one here is the 1.5 eTSI mild hybrid, 115 or 150 horsepower. The latter one we drive today here, 8.9 seconds in the acceleration. Based on this engine, there will be the first inbuilt hybrid, the full hybrid from the Volkswagen AG. So challenging Toyota in that respect. And that one to come by mid to late 2026. The same also with more powerful versions. There will be the 2-liter TSI with 200 horsepower all-wheel drive there, and the T-Roc R with 333 horsepower and then also standard all-wheel drive, and more versions then to come also in our reviews then very soon. And tell me in the comments, which one are you looking forward to most? Now towards the interior with the classic high gloss black key fob. Yeah, not my favorite one. Door closing sounds. That's very good. Rear sounds a little bit thin, so the front sounds better. And now there will be something coming up which was, you know, very much discussed when there was the world premiere. You will soon see what I mean. First of all, here we have a nice soft touch area in the top part structure, and you can really feel to actually touch it. And then here also the red cover, that's nicely done, good quality, I like that. They worked on that. And also here for the elbow, that could be a little bit softer though, because this is softer than this. Yeah. Then classic window levers and also classic control for the side mirrors, I appreciate it. And then there we are, this is the discussion point, the new door handle from the inside. First of all, this is open and closed. I mean, that's actually easy. But then here, this is how you open the car from the inside. And some say, how could they do this? It's a bad idea. Why do we need something new? And yeah, on the one hand, you can say, just stick with what's proven. On the other hand, the idea was, so when you're sitting there on the inside, the natural movement is, I mean, you have the hand here, and then the hand is like this. And if you would go like this, it's maybe more unnatural than you would do like this. So yes, it kind of follows the natural movement and position of the hand inside the vehicle. That is the idea behind it. We gotta see when we use it more often how it is in everyday driving life. Here this hard pack, however, the bottom part at least has like a felt inlay, the bottom part, at least that's something. Then we have the R-Line entry sill badge and also R-Line steering wheel, perforations at the side. For this very vehicle, there is no leather-free steering wheel available. They will offer that for the upcoming ID Polo and ID Up. Sadly, it's a little bit late then. Here, the seats, microfiber and also fabric. So nice with the microfiber. Also a nice fabric pattern here. So that looks good and it also adds the comfort. Some leatherette at the outside parts. And then let's get inside. It is not as large as the Tiguan, but already offers a decent seating position here. Very good comfort, good ergonomics of the seat. Here also a little bit more side support. There are also base fabric seats available. More info in our text info as well. And with 189, 6 for 2, a lot of headroom left. There's also panoramic roof available at a later stage. And then up and down, in and out for that steering wheel, good to control. And to shift gears, it's directly now at the steering wheel here with the stall column. We know that from the VW ID models as well. And it's actually a quite quick solution. And real buttons at the steering wheel. Glad to have them for the volume, for the cruise control, and right side here to control some of the digital instruments. Now to the cockpit perspective, and one more time then here about the inside of the doors. So indeed, you know, driving like this, then I get out of the vehicle, and then it is really like the same thing like you would control the window levers, like the same hand movement goes here. And that's actually not a bad thing. So I can understand that. And if you now think about the, how do you call it? Wir sagen like der holländische Griff, like the Dutch grab, because they, you know, with all the cyclists in the Netherlands, they say, use the other hand, because then you look, you know, behind that the cyclist is crashing into your door. But you can also do that with the other hand, like this, and then, okay, there's no cyclist. So, I mean, why not? What do you think? Then the cockpit perspective here, 13-inch infotainment screen. No physical dials so far. The physical dials will make its return with the ID Polo and the ID Up. We afford that for you. But here it was actually too late in the development process. Still, I have these sliders here to control the climate, at least something if I don't want to do it in the screen. Software is quite okay, could be a little bit faster, of course. What's cool? Speed chime, here EU speed chime law on off. You can set your favorite on the top part, and also for the driving modes, for the DCC, for example, that you can rule or find your individual suspension mode. Soon more to these digital instruments. Then we have here a fabric dashboard. Some don't like that, some do like it. I think it brings some coziness into the cabin. You can also just vacuum clean it. And it's also soft underneath, so they paid attention to that. And here also, for example, this leatherette part also has like a soft foam underneath. I really love that. So this is where they really stepped up the build quality. Really appreciate it. Here at the side in the middle tunnel, this looks like soft, however it's hard. You do have contour stitches. That would have been cool if that one would have been soft. Then here, by the way, the standard glove box. It's also smoothly dampened. That's nice, appreciate that. 2 USB-C chargers here in the front. And then there's an inductive charging pad. And you have like some swimming or swimmers symbols here, because they thought, it kind of looks like, you know, like an indoor swimming pool, you know, like Olympic. Yeah. Tell me in the comments if you saw that. And then here, why not being a little bit more joyful, right? This here to control the volume, or press it and then you can control the driving modes from here. So at least some physical input there. So this is how I control the DCC then. Why not? Start, stop engine. And then the wide middle console here, you can have it somewhat adaptive because you can change the size of these cup holders by that. And then you can even store some, you know, equipment here, because this is so spacious then in here. That's a cool thing, right?
For the coins here.
Oh, the German thing for coins and also for some cards. So yeah, why not? And you can also see here, adjust that in length a little bit and also adjust it in height. So actually, I'm not now quite happy with the build quality, with the improvements. And if it would have physical climate dials, then I would be really, really happy. So yeah, really like what we see in his interior, especially with the R-Line, and also important for all families, ISOFIX, not only in the rear, but also here on the front seat. Well, it's another advantage. And here we go. So we can change to view. There's a map view available. Or like this is my favorite view with this R-line view, big RPM meter, love that. And you can also get a head-up display, which is always hard to film. And here the main infotainment. You can, by the way, also change the climate like this or like this. This will be possible. And here we have the Apple CarPlay integration, CarPlay and Android with or without cable, both is possible. And best greetings also from Leah. And she has actually discovered that there are still handles to hold on to if I'm driving too quick. Not for the rear though, no. That doesn't exist, but it's on the co-driver, so on the passenger side, and also on the driver side. Now to the rear seats. Here is structured on top part, but it's hard pack here. We have a soft leather insert here, more Harman Kardon speakers, and also this new door handle for the rear doors. And yeah, it is unique. It is discussed by a lot. Yeah, what do you think? Then also hardback at the lower part everywhere. Then we also have a nice structure here on the fabric for the rear seats. This also increases the comfort. Isofix can be pushed in, clean solution. You can attach the things and so on. And we also have some microfiber inserts for the rear seats. We pull down these here. Cup holders are not adaptive though. And then we have slightly longer wheelbase. Yeah, that helps in comparison to the predecessor. However, it's not the longest vehicle, and when I'm driving here, yeah, I do hit my knees here a little bit with the seats, but only when I'm driving as a tall person, but that you can get like an understanding of how much space there is. Headroom here, there's some space left with 189, 6'2". Later there will also be the versions again available with the panoramic roof, not directly at the start of the production of this vehicle, but later on as well. And in the lower part, you have two USB-C chargers also for the rear seats. And then you also get a separate climate unit here for the rear. And since you asked, what if not a Thomas is sitting behind a Thomas, but Leah is sitting behind Thomas, then you do have some more legroom indeed, so that you can also estimate that. Because yeah, it's not realistic that Thomas is sitting behind Thomas. Leah should sit next to Thomas, but I mean, yeah, well, okay, this is our, our math for today. Now to the trunk or the boot. We have here the electric tailgate, 465 liters. What does that mean? Here, this one also easily fits under the cover. We have here 1 meter or 40 inches in width. Standard length is about 80 centimeters or 31 inches. And underneath here, this is pretty cool. A lot of space here, in this case, the subwoofer. Or you can also take this lower compartment like this. Yeah, that's a little bit loud then. So there we go. And then we have a lot of space here. It's not the even transition then. That's the downside, but there's more space in height. And then you can get a way better total height than here for this trunk. Look at that. This is then the maximum total height of, wow. It's like 33 inches or 84 centimeters. That's pretty cool, right? And of course, we have the total length, which is at 1 meters 50 or 60 inches. If you want to store something underneath, here is also a quite cool feature here. This can also be held up and then you can access the lower part. I mean, makes more sense in this case when you have no subwoofer, but still useful to have it. And as a comparison, here the same celestial blue color, but the live trim. Or it would also look somewhat similar in the other lower trims, for example. Live is already, like, say, mid-trim. So the R-Line, more high gloss black. This one then without the high gloss black. You still have the large openings here, but it's then just the plain black. And you also have the silver contrast in the lower part. I gotta say though that I feel this one, the T-Roc, really looks better in the R-Line. It's not always the same case, you know, but I think in this case it's true. And here 18-inch wheels. I mean, these are not the smallest ones, but you see that even 18 kind of looks small with this vehicle. Here, I think it's still okay. And also here, no black mirror caps in this case, so a little bit less sinister from the look. And if you wondered which part is in which color, this is the so-called hockey stick here in the silver trim, because this one looks like a bottom part of the hockey stick. And here we have the body color roof. So this is, so to speak, the base. Also then here with the vehicle color mirror caps and the bright wheels. And if you then go with the R-Line, you have the high gloss black in the lower part, as we also had with our celestial blue R-Line. This one here, the canary yellow. And this one has some things on top of the R-Line. First of all, the contrasting roof here in black. If you go for this one, then also the mirror caps are black. And also the same accounts for the black package, then also the mirror caps are black. What does the black package add on the contrasting roof? Then also here this hockey stick is in black and also the completely black wheels. So you really have to look in detail what you have, like base. Do you have the R-Line? Do you have the R-Line with the black pack on top? And also if you have the contrasting roof or not. Sport mode. That was 40 to 80 uphill. Need to get some speed to enter the motorway here before the truck, and so much speed that our smartphones flew away here from the middle console. I mean, for uphill acceleration that was still okay. It's not the most explosive engine. We're driving the 1.5 eTSI, that's the mild hybrid engine with 150 horsepower in this T-Roc R-Line, and the DCC, dynamic chassis control. That's why it's always adaptive, no matter which mode I'm in. At the moment we were in the sport mode and still quite comfortable so far. But if you go, for example, to the comfort mode, the suspension switches to like a more comfortable span. I can also go to the individual mode, for example. I have like a special setting for that. And what I always like to put the suspension, for example, on the most comfortable setting. But then the steering wheel to sport, that I have a little bit more feedback from the steering. That is, yeah, in these VW vehicles, usually my favorite mode, and that works quite well. The steering does not have a dead zone area, reacts quite well, also in the progressive way. And in the R-Line, we also have this, sportier steering wheel, where you can also, feel some kind of indentation right here. I would also have shifting pedals to switch the gears manually. Other than that, the DSG is doing a good job. If you're like really hammering it, then you feel transitions. But if you drive more normally, then it's actually kind of smooth. And something that Leah also noticed immediately here when we're driving, it's obviously quite rainy outside at this moment. That's when Germans come to Portugal, then it starts raining. We always bring the rain everywhere from Germany. It's actually very silent in here. So we were just driving 80 kilometers an hour, and now a lot of cars there, like from the tire noise and the rain and so on. And there's like a plane here just at the airport. You probably hear that on the microphone, but it's really silent and calm here. So that's actually a very good experience to already have that in like not super high luxury segment vehicle, to have this calmness. And also the seats, having here the R-Line seats we talked about earlier. They're actually quite comfy. The R-Line seats, they hold you tight here a little bit more, and then they have this microfiber accentuation there. So you get along as a tall person here as well, and have good comfort from the seats. That this traffic situation here, for example, is not the worst for you. Actually, that's quite good. Start stop here gets activated naturally. Then we can also test out some assistance systems here. So here we can switch through the modes. For example, the travel assist, and the travel assist is then the most sophisticated mode that is available. And in the travel assist, you have both keeping the distance to the car in front of you, and now accelerating again, the car is doing that. And also the car is being kept in the lane actively in that travel assist. And let's see how smooth the car is doing that. Also how smooth the braking interventions are, and if Leah has any complaining, a little bit of working here on the steering wheel. So at this moment, the car is doing everything itself. Let's see here. That's now a little bit harder. I think it was still quite okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's okay.
most ACC systems, they cannot do it as smooth as humans yet. The only system we saw where it works actually better than you could do as a human is in the new BMW iX3. Soon going to drive that for you as well. We did the test ride of that, like with the assistance systems. That was like so smooth, like when you close your eyes, you don't even realize when the car is stopping and when you get going again. Here already at the very high level, like that. and also quite reliable. Here you see here how the car is keeping everything centered. Oh, seen that? So sometimes I'm not sure. Maybe it's rainy. The right side, you see the white lanes. The left side, there's no real white lane, but car should. Well, there is one, but it's kind of like covered a little bit by the rain. So you see here, yeah, sometimes there are some nervous reactions from the steering wheel. I mean, it's always good to test it in tough conditions, right? So, yeah, definitely here, so to speak, you can see I would probably take over the steering wheel myself then to make it smoother, especially for Leah. You know, you always have to be careful with your passengers or co-drivers, as I like to call them, definitely. But to me, best thing here so far is definitely the comfortable seat and the calm atmosphere in the interior that's really very silent. That speaks for this, you know, a little bit more of sophistication. With this eTSI mild hybrid system, you don't exactly get a hybrid feeling. It's not that, like in the inbuilt Toyota systems, that the engine shuts off and you drive, you know, in the city, maybe all electric and so on. That one will come later, based on the same engine, but then as the full inverted hybrid, which will be the first time at VW, will be launched here with the T-Roc. Not sure when you're watching this video here. If you watch this at a very early stage, the full hybrids will be available, they say, by end of 2026 or mid-2026, something like that. If you watch this video at a later stage, maybe it's already available, and then you can also get one if that's interesting for you. But this one here, the eTSI, will be lower in the entry price, so that might also be attractive. And here, 150 horsepower, 8.9 seconds, or there would also be a slower one with 115 horse. Do you think so as well? Like, especially in English, like 15 and 50 always sounds so similar. That's why I sometimes like, it sounds weird when I like really stress this. When it's
But
like
in Germany it's the same.
Yeah,
15 und 50.
Yeah, 50 and 15. So 50 is 50 in German, and 15 is
15.
15.
15,
50. You got the difference? That's your German lesson here for today. Oh, that was pretty brave. Maybe, well, not calling it brave, but stupid, you know. Doing that with a motorcycle here in the middle and in these weather conditions. I know, me being basically born as a motorcycle driver because I was driving motorcycles earlier as cars, I would actually not do that in these weather conditions, not on public roads. So yeah, you can always lose your front wheel. That's maybe not the best idea. But I mean, at the start of this driving review, I was thinking like, damn it, you know, it's not so beautiful when we have rain. But then you realize, wait a minute, it's actually very good for the test drive to see, you know, how the grip is, how the tires hook up, or the noise insulation, because maybe driving dry 130 is like driving in rain with 80, you know? So that really speaks for the vehicles. That's actually pretty cool. And good steering feeling. Assistance systems, as we show, could be maybe tweaked a little bit better. Might be the rainy conditions. Got to see about that. And by the way, what you can also do with the assistance systems is the following. This one here has the automated lane change inbuilt. By the way, this corner here was also automatically done by the vehicle. So I feel in the traffic it was struggling a little bit with a lot of rain, but here when you drive like a little bit faster, then it's actually more reliable, the assistance system thing. Here, after this black car on the right, Golf station wagon. Here, let's now test the automated lane change. There we go. Okay, okay. Wants me to keep holding on to the steering wheel. There we go. Smooth process. And also reduce the speed already for the upcoming traffic sign. The first try, it didn't carry. I mean, I want to show you, hey, it can do it. You know, that you can see it, because it's hard to see when I have my hands on the steering wheel. But it directly detects, Thomas, you gotta keep your hands on the steering wheel, otherwise I won't do it. So the second time I kept my hand at the steering, but I promise I didn't do it myself. The steering was the vehicle, and it's nicely done. So pretty smooth. And
it doesn't fake it.
Yeah, no.
I saw it, yeah.
Leah can prove it. And we were also just driving 120 kilometers an hour, and still, like with this rainy surrounding, and it was still super silent. So yeah, once again, you can understand why people are buying the T-Roc in dozens, because it drives so extremely well. You don't drive the largest SUV, it's a compact SUV, but at the same time it already feels kind of sophisticated. Yes, in the Tiguan, for example, you sit higher, more upright, you get that like a real SUV feeling. And here it's maybe a little bit also crossover-ish feeling. But you know, this one here has grown in length, 12 centimeters. You do feel that, 5 inches. And also slightly grown in the wheelbase, what we could also see in the rear seats. And this, of course, gives you a little bit more calmness in the ride. So indeed, if I now compare the previous generation with this generation T-Roc here, a little bit more sophistication, calmness in the cabin, calmness in the ride, and that's what I would expect from a new generation, that they really refine it, you know, because they didn't have to throw away the old generation completely. It was extremely popular. As I said, is still one of the best-selling VW models overall. Many times the best-selling model is, depending on the market, of course. And I think they did a good job in really refining this here. And this is still something where the German manufacturers are still very strong in this evolution of the vehicles, you know, and making it better and better and better, and building on the engineering experience, because it drives really, really well. You know, there is a strong competitor with the Toyota Corolla Cross, for example, which will be even more comparable once the T-Roc has the inbuilt hybrid, and then you can compare hybrid versus hybrid as well. What would be the difference? Yeah, the Corolla Cross already has the hybrid system. This one still to come later. The Corolla Cross is general, as for the brand reliability, the more reliable car if you think of keeping it like for 10 years or something. But then again, the T-Roc here, it just drives extremely well. It feels agile. It kind of feels light. And I also think I'm not sure who that one was for, that horn, or maybe the front. And so like you really can enjoy the driving experience and also the interior. You know, Toyota is awesome in reliability, but they seem to be, let's make the interior practical, but not super nice, you know what I mean? And here they spend a little bit more time, you know, in designing the interior. I like the red dashboard, fabric dashboard on top. I mean, it splits opinion. Some like it, some don't. You can easily vacuum clean it also. It's not that hard, you know. I would have wished for real physical dials. We have been fighting at VW for this, for you, of course. We were successful, yes, but they will come with the all-new generation, for example, of the electric vehicles like ID2, ID1, which are now called ID Polo and ID Up. These will be the final names, so ID Polo, ID Up. They will get the physical dials again, very important. That decision was not taken yet for the T-Roc. I'm not sure if that's possible with the facelift, so here we still have to live with these sliders. But at least if you have these sliders, you can still control stuff while driving and not have to do it directly in the screen. Yet at the same time, we have good hotkeys like here on the top part, where you have like the speed warning, that's EU speed chime on and off, easily done, one press. And with the DCC, when I select that, I could either press on the top part here, or I can also use these lower selectors here. So either it's for the volume, and then I showed it to you earlier, when I press it once, then I can also change the driving modes. And I mean, I don't even have to look at the screen for that, you know, maybe just slightly, but here comfort to sport mode and so on, or then keep it in your individual mode, for example. So it's good to have this, you know, a little bit of physical interface in the lower part, that you can concentrate on something else except just watching at the screen while driving. So that's actually a quite good thing. And I'm still amazed of how silent this vehicle is for this kind of segment. That is actually also considering the competitors really good. And also the suspension. I mean, I think in this case I have to overtake on the right. It's not possible otherwise. Sorry about that. Don't do this at home. So here we go. Yeah, it gives you a very calm feeling. So the driving is really the special thing about this vehicle, where it's, for example, So for example, I said above the Toyota Corolla Cross as the competitor. I mean, this is really heavy rain now. It's really silent.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty
Really
cool.
cool.
And the suspension is doing a great job. I mean, this is still the classic one valve DCC. You know, the Q3, the Terramar, the Tiguan, which is one segment higher. They have now the new 2-valve DCC system. You don't necessarily need it. It's a little bit more sophisticated, you know, more comfort and dynamic in one, so to speak. But here already very good. If I could choose one of the options I pick, to me, would definitely be DCC still on the very top, because you just profit so much from this comfort and sporty ride on demand, how you like it, and most of the time leaving in comfort mode and just enjoying the comfort from this adaptive suspension. 36 mpg US or 44 mpg UK, so between 6 and 7 liters on 100 kilometers is our consumption for today for this test ride here with the 1.5 eTSI with 150 horsepower. Of course, not the best result. There can also be some better results, maybe when the weather is better. Of course, you know, much rain resistance against the tire there, of course. However, when you want a lower consumption, then there might be the hybrid for you, the inbuilt hybrid. This one, only mild hybrid. Will have some coasting advantages and so on, but won't be like the biggest game changer. But the inbuilt hybrids, expecting a lot from these then, they should bring down the consumption like 1.5, maybe even 2 liters or something like that. And as soon as they are available, we will of course test it for you. Pricing between 30 and 50,000 euros if you go entry-level engines, or then here with the highest spec R-Line and some extras and so on. So these are roughly the estimations. And of course later on, if you watch this video later, it's maybe already out, but like end of 2026, the T-Roc R will come again with 333 horsepower, and we'll also, of course, keep you updated with that one. To me, the special thing is it rides so well, and I mean, even with the 20-inch wheels, the DCC, the adaptive suspension, even that one out very, very well. So very good driving and very good comfort, although we have these largest wheels. If you want a softer ride, of course, you can also go with smaller ones. But to me, this is really the thing about this vehicle. It drives so well, the handling is so good, it's so much fun to drive this vehicle here. And this is also one of the reasons, together with the compact dimensions and the good space offering, why it will again be very successful here in this very new generation. And now I think it's time to check out some competitors.